Hello, friends. How are you? How's things? How's life? I hope it's good. I told you yesterday that I was going to talk about this today, so let's talk about it. I have other stuff I'd like to talk about, but let's talk about this instead. This is the Kitchen Island project. I don't know what I said about it yesterday, but I have the panels are over there already. I think I put 3 or 4 coats of clear coat on the inside. The outside has a sealer coat of shellac on it. It's going to get primed and painted. This thing will be white when it's all said and done. These are the legs. The legs are big, thick, chunky, and where I put the pocket or the dowel holes that I showed episodes ago, this is where the panels will be. So the bunch of this leg is going to show, and it'll also get primed and painted. On some of these legs, this one's actually really clean. I didn't have to do anything to it. On some of these legs, I had to put like wood filler in to fill in some of the crappy grain and stuff. But before I could glue all of this together, while I had these apart, I wanted to sand them. I'm going to round the edges just ever so slightly. And I also wanted to put leveling feet. So this is going to be really hard for me to show you. I'm going to maybe try to show some like B-roll if I remember during this part, because it's kind of difficult for me to show it here. But essentially the leveling feet consist of this little barrel part that's threaded that goes on the bottom of the leg, and then this part that screws into it, and this is how you adjust the level, right? I don't want these to show. So I want these to be recessed inside the leg, and then as needed you'll bring them out just ever so slightly. So when it's sitting on the floor, it'll look like there's no leveling feet, but the leveling feet will be there. Fine. This is the 5th leg, by the way. This is like a 2-foot by 4-foot thing with so I'm going to put a center divider. I'm going to put a 5th leg in the middle just to keep it from sagging. It's going to carry some weight. I have a lot of pots and pans in there and stuff like that, so I wanted to put a 5th leg on it. So this was my experiment leg, because I figured if I screwed up this side, I could flip it over and drill this side. I can't do that on these because I've already drilled them for the panels, and then there would be these exposed holes at the bottom if I did that. So I don't want to do that. So what I thought was, I'll take 1 5/8 Forstner bit, this big guy, and I'll drill in here like such, and that will hold this piece, and then in the middle of that I will drill a little hole that the diameter matches the diameter of this bolt, and it can get down in there. Did that on this one. It's close. The problem is that this is a 1/2 inch bolt, and this collar, well, it's not quite a 1/2 inch. This collar is a little bigger than a 1/2 inch. It's more like, I don't know, it's 9/16 or something like that. It's just slightly bigger than a 1/2 inch. So I have to open that hole up a little bit bigger so that this can actually fit in there. No problem. I'll just use a 5/8 inch Forstner bit. This was my thought. So I tried it. Put this in my vise, chucked this in my drill, marked center on the leg, tried to drill it, and this thing just... I wish I could show you. The inside of this hole looks terrible. This thing wandered so much because this is maple. And I was originally going to build this out of poplar, because poplar is dense enough to be an easily workable wood, but not so dense that it's difficult, and not as spongy as pine, which gets more marked when you work it. And I went to my lumber guy to buy the poplar, and he said, "What are you building?" I said, "A kitchen island." He said, "Don't use poplar. It's going to get dinged up. Let me sell you maple at the same price." And I said, "Oh, okay." Not thinking about how difficult it is to drill the end grain of maple. Actually, it's difficult to drill maple, period. This is hard wood. This is hard maple, locally grown, very dense stuff. And drilling the end grain of this is difficult, as evidenced by this guy. So I got this one drilled out. It was a complete pain in the ass. It looks terrible. Thankfully, it's going to be face down. Nobody's going to see it. But I didn't want to go through that same process again on the other 4 legs because it might wander even worse. It might end up with a worse scenario. Fine. I made myself a router template. This guy lets me kind of use it like this on the leg, and then I can drill a starter hole and use a router with a trim bit, and I can cut a nice clean pocket. So I tried that. That actually worked really well on this leg. I got this leg real nice. Nice little pocket. I think the pattern shifted a little bit. Oh, the first pattern that I made shifted, so I had to make a second one to fix it. Nice center hole. I need to drill out for the full length of the leg, but it fits in there beautifully. Perfect. Made a new template. Tried it on my 3rd leg. This one, the one that's facing you. And this is where everything went wrong. For whatever reason, I don't think I used the 5/8 inch on this guy. I think I used the 1/2 inch drill bit. That's when I discovered that the 1/2 inch wasn't quite right. Whatever. For whatever reason, I put my template on this leg. I marked center. I tried to drill out this 5/8, which, I mean, I technically succeeded at drilling a 5/8 inch hole, but just like this larger bit, it wandered. And the hole is at a pretty severe angle, and which means that, and it's way off center because this walked around, and I wasn't, like, this was kind of up in my vise, and I couldn't really see because the shavings were filling the hole, so I just kept drilling. This piece doesn't fit in there flush, or it fits in there at a weird ass angle. It won't go in. It won't go in at all. And I don't know what I'm going to do about it. And I felt this was just one of those projects, like I was saying yesterday, that I felt so frustrated I had to just walk away. I probably could have solved it, but I needed to walk away from it because I was getting upset. And if that happens, I'm going to end up doing something drastic, like cutting the end of this off or something. I even told Malia, like, I might just go back and buy Poplar and redo all of this because this is frustrating me. But the fix is, I think, pretty straightforward. The hole is not super duper deep. It's, it's up to the first knuckle on my pinky, maybe a little deeper than that. I think I can get like a diamond burr on my Dremel tool, and I can elongate that hole to where I'll be able to get a drill bit started for the rest of this shank to fit into, and I can get it recentered. And then what I will do on the rest of these is use my brad point drill bit, which drilled out this hole just fine. Then step it up to a 1/2 inch drill bit, and then use the Dremel just to like make the top of the hole a little bit bigger to take this shank, and then I think I'll be fine. But man, after this happened, I was like so frustrated. I was like, how do I fix this off-center hole? It needs to come back. The good news is it doesn't have to, like, this doesn't have to be perfectly centered in this leg. This is all going to be on the floor. Nobody's going to be looking at it that way. It's not going to be a problem once it's upside down. But I need to get it centered enough that I can fit the stupid bushing thingy in there, and it's not in there at a goofy angle because it needs to be straight up and down. So I think I can hack at this a little bit and make it work. But man, that just made for a super frustrating project, that added to a super frustrating weekend where I was just battling myself and my insecurities all weekend, trying to come up with something. But I need to get back to it. I found out that we're not going to have the jazz thing. We're not going to have practice this week because the leader is sick. So we're going to take some time and get back at that later. But that's fun to say. I told Malia the other day, like, hey, I'm kind of in a band now. That's neat. That's never been a thing before for me. I mean, we're not a band, and we're not claiming to be, but I mean, it's kind of, I have weekly rehearsals. I love that idea. That's fun for me. I don't know why. But I'm good on this now. I was really, like, I was trying to figure out if I could get a 5/8 inch dowel and jam it in there so I could get a drill bit. So I was trying to think of all kinds of different ways I could fix this, but I think the simplest way is to just use the Dremel that hole out. Just a little bit. It doesn't need to be a whole lot. Just so I can get a flat spot in the bottom of the hole where I can, with the drill bit. So, I think it's all good. But I wanted to show you and tell you just because I said I was going to. I like to do what I say I'm going to do. I don't always succeed at that, but I like to try. What do you guys got going on? Anything interesting this week? You should ask me a question or something. I do have a book that I've read recently that I want to review, and I just finished a video game that I want to review. So I have some reviews coming up, but we can talk about other stuff. What do you want to talk about? You should let me know in the comments something that you want to talk about. And while you're down there, you should give this video a like. And if you haven't subscribed, you should do that because we are climbing back towards 25,000 subscribers. I want to get there again. So thank you for helping. I'll see you tomorrow. Today's 1,000 plus little things happy, successful people do differently. We are learning 12 tough truths that help you grow. Number 5, you have to take care of yourself first. Before supporting others, you have to support yourself. Before correcting others, you have to correct yourself. Before making others happy, you have to make yourself happy. It's not selfishness, it's personal development. Once you balance yourself, you can begin to balance the world around you. This one, that lesson, for me, was one of the hardest things I had to learn. Because I am at heart, I'm a servant. I like to serve. That's my love language. It's how I feel the best. But I was not serving people in a conducive way because I was not taking care of myself. And it's difficult, and you shouldn't do that. You got to take care of number 1. You really do.